Term 3. Let's look to Nelson Mandela for inspiration. The start of Term 3 relies heavily on the principle thinking like an executive leader from day one. Instructional excellence, especially after mid-year assessment, depends on strong teams doing the right things and sharing learnings with all staff. As principal, the school's thriving culture needs you to give it preparation, communication, direction, and personality. It's you and your team's job to jolt the school back into action this week. I first wrote to principals about Nelson Mandela in 2020. I thought we'd delve into our national psyche and allow the wisdom and spirit of our first democratic president to motivate us this week. Nelson Mandela's integrity, courage, resilience, his humanity and his dreams for the future when facing key crises in his life and times can serve as an example to pandemic pathfinder principles. My aim was to choose a few of the internationally respected statesmen's quotations and some poetic license to apply them to the pandemic in general and to school leadership in particular. His best-known quote in this regard is the one which registers, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." Firstly, any idea where he said this? At the launch of the not-for-profit digital content company Mindset Learn in 2003. In 2020, digital content suddenly became an issue in every high school. No teacher, irrespective of grade, can avoid the reality that the internet, used professionally, provides immeasurable support and exposure to high-quality resource material. Today, our focus is on artificial intelligence and ensuring that schools and teachers are not left behind. It is now the world's most powerful tool. Secondly, education is only powerful if it's highly effective. Perhaps it's best to reflect that as teachers, we have the capacity to make a difference. But Nelson Mandela, in this renowned quote, personally expects us not only to use our skills and strategies, but to demonstrate the will to take up his challenge. Speaking to actor Morgan Freeman in 2006, Mandela said, "When people are determined, they can overcome anything." President Mandela visited schools regularly. We don't just remember a statesman, but a champion of children, of leadership, of service, and of self-discipline. He was a man who saw every classroom, every school gate, and every teacher as the place where a nation is made. Schools to him were the front line of nation building. During the pandemic, the role of the principal certainly gained significance. The WCED, community and staff expected principals to stand up courageously and lead. Speed was a critical leadership necessity, and school leaders had to rely on and use their instinct, experience, and confidence to make the right calls. In 2003, speaking to Richard Stengel, who collaborated with him in creating Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela said, "It is absolutely necessary at times for the leader to take an independent action without consulting anybody and to present what he has done to the organization." Lead from the front, Pathfinder principle. It's why they chose you. I got to meet Nelson Mandela on a personal basis on 3 occasions, even if each was only a few sentences. In 1992 in Bloemfontein, where he spoke to 50 of us for 90 minutes, he signed my copy of the Cape Times dated 12th of February 1990 with the headline, "Free at Last." The second was in 1997 when he received the freedom of the city of Bloemfontein. The third, in 1999, I wrote about in a letter to principals entitled Leading from Behind, 21-2020. Speaking at Walter Sisulu's 90th, Mandela reflected on what makes life worthwhile. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived, It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. I can assure you that as principal, you make a significant difference in the lives of your teachers and learners. And here's a little piece of advice Mandela gave to Oprah in an interview. If you want the cooperation of humans around you, you must make them feel they are important. And that you do by being genuine and humble. When Nelson Mandela visited a school or a hospital, he would make a point of meeting and greeting the cooks and the cleaners, as well as the learners and patients. To him, they were very important. He would say that these men and women were his inspiration. Some are known, he said, others are not. As principals, ensure that your heroes are known, appreciated, and respected. Context is the most critical factor we face in leading our school communities. Mandela reminds us, though, if you wait for textbook conditions, they will never occur. Calling on us to show bravery in adversity, he said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. I felt fear myself more times than I can remember, but I hid behind the mask of boldness. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. You have certainly been doing just this as your school's leader. When you put your mask of boldness on as you head towards your office each morning, know that you are a patriot in a great tradition of bold South African men and women. I know it's a far-fetched notion, but as principal, you are the Nelson Mandela of your school, and in many cases, the only example of real leadership in the lives of deprived learners. Our schools need leaders in every classroom who drive effective literacy and numeracy, and those classroom leaders need the principal's encouragement, persuasion, example, and quality leadership. As I always say, you need to be at your best. Just keep getting better every day. As Mandela said, I never lose. I either win or learn. Mandela Day is a day observed in July worldwide. Last Wednesday, Nelson Mandela's international lecture at Town Hall, New York City, was presented by Mayor Zoran Kwame Mandami. Still relevant, I would say. What can you as principal do to observe your school's Mandela Day? How about sitting with 3 learners and 2 teachers for 67 minutes of listening? What about honoring a teacher who masters technology in teaching to change lives? Do you know what Mandela's favorite thing was to do? It was to read to his grandchildren. A powerful weapon indeed. Nelson Mandela was more than one of the greatest leaders of all time. He was one of our greatest teachers. Ban Ki-moon, UN Secretary General 2013. When I sit down to write this letter each time, it seems impossible till it's done. You guessed it. He said that too.